Good morning. In today's video, we're going to show you the trajectory that our ancestors took to go from Canaan to the Caribbean. When I was in college in upstate New York, we had in the school a student from Africa. He was born and raised in Africa. So I was one day had the opportunity to ask him a question about the African governments and the slave trade. I asked him, how come the African governments let foreigners come in, kidnapped, chained, and dragged African citizens into slavery, when all government at least supposed to have a ministry of justice, a ministry of foreign affairs, and especially a ministry of the interior and of national security. How come the people were not protected? The fellow answered by saying that at that time there were no government and each tribe was doing its own things. And he said when two tribes went to war, they tied up the loser and sent them into slavery. It is his answer that we're going to analyze and assess and dissect in today's video. His answer has two parts. The first part of his answer is when he said there were no government and each tribe was doing its own things. The key word to the first part of his answer is the word tribe. There's only one nation on earth who divide its citizens into tribes, and that's the nation of ancient Israel, who divided its citizens into 12 tribes. The old civilizations, the old nations did not have that. For instance, the Babylonians, the Mesopotamians, the Philistines, the Romans, the Assyrians, they didn't have the tribal system. Even in this modern world, the Europeans, the United States, do not divide its citizens into tribes. In the United States, the citizens are divided into states, counties, towns, and villages. So it was only the nation of Israel that divided citizens into tribes. Many people don't understand to this day that the land of Canaan that God gave to Abraham is found in Africa. In the old days, they used to call Africa the land of the Hamites. The Hamites were the descendants of Ham, H-A-M, and Ham was the second son of Noah. Ham had 4 sons, Misraim, Cush, Put, and Canaan. Misraim is the father of all the Egyptians. Cush is the father of all the Ethiopians. Put is the father of all the Libyans. And then there is Canaan, which land God gave to Abraham. And the children of Canaan were among them 11 sons. Among those children were the Hittite, the Amorites, the Girgazites, and so on and so forth. God gave the land of Canaan to Abraham. Now, when God told Abraham to leave the land of the Chaldeans, from Chaldeans, to start walking, and then God would tell him where to stop. When Abraham got to Canaan, God said, "You can settle down here. This is the land I'm giving you." So God took the land of the Hamites and gave it to Abraham. God took the land from Egypt, brother, Ethiopia, and Libya, brother, which was Canaan, and God established Abraham in the land of Canaan. So this is the land where the children of Jacob established the nation of Israel. When Moses and the Israelites left Egypt, it would have taken Moses 11 days to walk from Egypt to the Promised Land. This is by way of the Red Sea. However, if Moses went by way of Gaza, the same Gaza that the Ashkenazic Jews and the Palestinians are fighting for today, it would have taken Moses only 4 hours to get from Egypt to Gaza, from Egypt to the Promised Land. That's why today the Egyptians quickly built a wall between Gaza and Egypt, because they have the impression that the Ashkenazic Jews are trying to push the Palestinians into Egypt, because that's how close Egypt and the Promised Land is. That's how close Egypt and ancient Israel is. That's how close the land that God gave to Abraham is to Egypt, to Ethiopia, to Libya. Because Africa used to call the land of the Hamites. Okay, so today the United Nations, the Vatican, okay, Europe, cut Africa into two parts. They call the area where the biblical event took place, they call that area Middle East. That's where you find ancient Jericho. That's where you find the ancient Garden of Eden, the 4 rivers that the Bible talks about, flows in the area of the Turkish area, which today Turkey say that their area, they're not in Africa, they call them that area Asia Minor. Okay, and meanwhile, this is part of the land that God gave Abraham, because that's where the Hittites, one of 11 sons of Canaan, used to live. Okay, so that land, this area of the Middle East, this is where the biblical event took place, and this is also where you find the land of the Chaldeans, which is modern day Iraq. Okay, so when you ask, so where is the Middle East, they tell you it's between Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, there is no continent called between Europe and Asia. There is no continent called Middle East, but there is a continent called Africa. To prove that even further, today we have a war between the Ashkenazic Jews and the Palestinians. So in what continent is that war being fought right now? Is it in Europe? Is it in America? Is it in Asia? No, this war is going on in Africa. And this is where the biblical events took place. Now, the way that Europe treat African people by dragging them into slavery, and then for you to take the Bible and say this is the book of your salvation, and then to come to find out that it is the people you're treating like trash, the people you're treating worse than dogs in your house are also the people responsible to give you that salvation, because Jesus was born among us. Jesus is one of us, okay? Even though he was incarnated, but through Mary, who is also one of us. So when you treat people like trash, like garbage, like animals, it's normal to try to hide their identities. So that's why when we have a Bible in our hands today, we don't think of Africa. We don't think of black characters. We see all white. And you can see they widen the area that of Africa they call the Middle East, in order to wash our brain, in order to brainwash us so that we don't know who we are, where we come from. So when the fellow classmate said that each tribe was doing its own thing, it's because the slaves were taken out of the tribes of Israel. So what explained that the slaves were not, the Israelites were not living in Canaan, on the land that God gave Abraham. What explained that the Israelites that were taken as slaves were not taken from Canaan at the time is because of the deportation of the Assyrians and the deportations of the Romans. When the Assyrians deported the kingdom of Israel, they took the nobles, the rich, the wise, the royal family. Okay, they took them to Assyria to make Assyria better. But the rest of the population, the mass population, they took them and spread them in the forest of Africa. So when they took, for instance, a tribe like the tribe of Reuben, they don't take the tribe of Reuben and put them in one area in the forest. They divided that tribe into hundreds of small communities and spread them in the forest. They did that to all of the 10 tribes of the kingdom of Israel. Okay, the idea was that to make sure Israel was not powerful ever again, because Israel was a super powerful country in the region. Israel under King David, King Solomon, were too much for the region, because especially King David never lost any war. So Israel was too much for the area, too powerful. The moment that the Assyrian had the opportunity to destroy them, to spread them, to split them, that's exactly what they did. So today, those areas where they used to be forest, for instance, in West Africa, the southern area of Africa, especially the west, that's where they split the tribes. Okay, that's why when the slave trade started, that's where they took the African citizen and brought them into slavery. So that explains why what the fellow meant when he said each tribes was doing its own things. It's because the slaves were taken out of the 12 tribes of Israel from Africa. Now, the second part of his answer, we can see clearly. We can see its explanation with the term that they call triangular trade. The triangular trade is when from Europe they start with a boat full of European products, and especially weapons, that they were taking to Dahomey. That was the country that Europe plotted with to kidnap African citizens to sell into slavery. Okay, the boat would start from Europe. That's the first leg of the triangle. from Europe to Dahomey. And when the boat got to Dahomey, they would empty the boat, give Dahomey the goods, and then fill the boat with African citizens that Dahomey would have go and kidnapped because of all the weapons that they received from Europe. They were powerful. It was easy for them. If the boat only took 30 people, no problem. If the boat took 500 people, no problem. If the boat took 700 people, it would have been nothing for Dahomey because they were well armed. They could go at ease and bring whatever number of citizens that they needed, African citizens that they needed. So that's the and from there, the second leg of the triangle would come from Dahomey to the Caribbean. And let's say that boat get into Haiti. When the boat got there, they would empty the boat, remove the African citizens, okay? And then that boat doesn't go back to Europe empty. The last leg of the triangle is from the Caribbean, from Haiti to France, from the Caribbean to Europe. That boat doesn't go back empty. They would fill the boat with Haitian products like coffee, sugarcane to process in France, in Europe, to make sugar and sell all over Europe. They would fill the boat with indigo, cocoa, spices, tea leaves to make tea, okay? And the boat would be filled up with Haitian product. At one time, during the existence of the slave trade, Haiti used to produce 50% of France's GDP. That's France's grand national product. Haiti would provide 50% or more of France's GDP. Today, they're trying to tell us that our products are inferior, they're no good, that Colombian coffee is the coffee to drink. Since when? Is it since it's not our product ain't free anymore that suddenly Colombian coffee is superior? When our products were free, they were okay. And meanwhile, our products is what they call organic food today. So our products are superior to this day. So we're not taking any more lies from Europe. We're not taking any more lies from Vatican. So this is how the last leg of the triangle ends, from Haiti to France, from the Caribbean to Europe, or from the United States to England, okay? Or from South America to Portugal, to Spain, because all of those people involved with slavery. So I tell you all of this because of what I'm about to say now, because now we get to the climax of the video. Now, when Jesus was on earth, he made a declaration to the Israelites because at several times they tried to stone him to death, even though their bellies were full with fish and bread. They had cripples among them that walked. The blind among them were able to see. The sick were healed, were cured. Even the dead was resurrected. Okay, still they were still not believe that Jesus was the Son of God, that Jesus came from God. So because of their stubbornness, because of their rejection of God's Son, Jesus made that declaration to the Israelites. And because the tribes came from the 12, the slaves came from the 12 tribes of Israel, that affect us directly. Jesus told them in Luke 13, verse 35, Jesus said, "Look, your house is left to you desolate. I tell you, you will not see me again until you say. Jesus told them, you will not be blessed again as Israelite until you say. The word Israel means prince with God. Jesus say you will not be treated as prince and princesses again until you say. Until you say what? What Jesus is telling the people to say, that's what the Dr. Martin Luther King was supposed to have the people say instead of we shall overcome. That's what we need to say today when we go to march, when we go to manifestation like in Haiti today. Haiti is in turmoil. Haiti is in disarray. Haiti is putting its hope in the local politicians. The local politicians putting their hope in the international community who's unwilling to help. The Asian people put their hope in France, in the United States, in Canada. When you go to march, you bring the US flag, the Canadian flag, the American flags. As you can see, nobody's willing to help anymore. We exhaust their help. They've been there not that long ago. Very recently, they were in Haiti helping. They tired of us. This is the time for God's people to turn back to Jesus and go say what Jesus wants us to say. So what does he want us to say? Jesus wants us to say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. What does that expression do? That expression tell Jesus that we finally believe that he is God, that he is the Son of God, finally believe that he came from God. Jesus say, until you say that, you will not see me again. Okay? Until we say that. When we say that, we admit that we finally believe that Jesus is the Son of God. The Israelites never believed that Jesus was the Son of God, except for the few that were converted. But the vast population never believed that Jesus was the Son of God. Instead, they tried to kill him. And because of that, there's an embargo of blessing on Israel, because the slaves came directly from the 12 tribes of Israel. I just proved it to you that the slave came from the 12 tribes of Israel. We, as their descendants, are also affected by this curse until we say, when we protest, when we pray in our churches, when we pray, when we have service, until we say, not just us Haitian, but all those descendants of slaves in the Caribbean. It seems like we have more problems, but they too also have problems. The African Americans in the United States, they also have problems. The remnant of the tribes that stayed in Africa during the slave trade, that blow up into many countries today, they also have problems. We all need to go back to our roots, to Jesus, to God, and to say what Jesus wants us to say, which is, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. He said, your house will be desolate. You will have problems. You will be in turmoil. He said, I will not do anything. You will have problems. You will have famine. You will have earthquake. You will have gangs taking over your cities. Okay, there is no sensibility anymore. There's no compassion anymore. No respect for the human lives anymore in your territories. Jesus say, I will not do anything until you say. Until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Until you recognize that the man that we rejected came from God. He is God. Until Israel realize that, we will be in our turmoil. Our turmoil will be our best product until we say. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that is the message that I have for you today. That the man that we rejected, that we chose Barabbas over him. We chose, we said we didn't have any king but Caesar. We said, if he's innocent, let his blood fall on us and on our children, that man. Until we recognize that he is the Son of God, our situation will remain the same. It's not about United Nations. It's not about the international community. They're taking advantage of us. They don't like us. They don't need us. We need Jesus. So let's turn back to Jesus. Until we meet again, may we go and do our duties of reconciliating with the Son of God. May the Lord richly bless you.